Alrighty. Hi everybody, Game Cooker US Rocks VR here. Um, just letting you know I'm still alive. I haven't been doing really much videos because it's just real life stuff is just kind of, you know, um, you know, getting in the way of things, I guess you could say, in a lot of different respects. Um, anyway, hope you're all doing well. Don't forget to, like, share, and all that good stuff. So, I'll try to be quick about this, as I always do, even though sometimes things just seem to go longer. So, if any of you care, the Avowed game is out now. Well, kind of. It isn't, but it is. If you pay like 90 bucks, you'll get early access. Right? So, if you must have early access, then pay $90. Personally, I don't care about this game that much because I don't really think it looks that great, in my opinion. And after seeing some more gameplay today, that just confirms my opinion. Like, I don't like these, like, kind of kiddish looking games. Like, don't get me wrong, I like cartoons, I like anime, I like, specific things that are cartoony, but in a game, I don't want to play a game that I feel like I'm playing Fortnite. You know what I'm saying? Or uh, Apex Legends, or any of those cartoony looking games. Like this game's weird because it's got like kind of looks like a mix of realistic looking stuff, but then you got scenes like this which don't look so realistic. And then you got like they're not really showing the combat here with all the effects. Like the characters kind of look, I don't know, in my opinion, bland, you know? Um, Again, all flat-chested women, you know? With all kind of boyish or manly looking bodies. Although she does kind of have a hip there, but not really super defined. Um, you know, like this just looks like Unreal 4 glowy stuff, you know what I mean? It's like if you look at the combat though in the videos, it looks really like super colorful. And again, I love color, but I don't like it like too overblown in like a RPG that's kind of a first person especially, right? Like a top-down RPG, I don't mind that looking a little more colorful, right? Because you're looking at things from a distance and you kind of want to see more going on the screen, right? But when you're in a first person kind of perspective and there's a whole bunch of like colorful flashing lights going on, at least to me it's more of a distraction and it takes me out of the immersion, right? Um, if I'm in a third person game, I can kind of I don't mind a little bit more like magic effects and stuff, but again, I don't want everything just looking like a kid's game. You know what I'm saying? Like you're playing like a Disney game or a Smurfs game or, something like that where it's like, it caters to children. So they, colorful, flashy numbers, that kind of thing. These pictures don't really show that, you know? That's just my opinion. So now I'll go into the reviews because that's really the fun part, right? So I got the most recent, right? So, like, you can go here or you can go up to the community page. Um, where's the reviews? Right here. Reviews. Let me make this bigger so you guys can see it. So you can see here if you go to most recent, this guy has 2 hours. Fun so far. 2 hours so far. Very strong start. The combat translate to Path of Exile stuff into real-time first person. So he's like saying this is a first person version of PoE kind of situation. 4 hours. I'm still early in the game, so my thoughts might change. This game very much feels like Skyrim, what the Outer Worlds was to Fallout New Vegas, and I mean that both in a positive way and a negative sense. If you're coming into this game expecting a super immersive and open-ended RPG like Elder Scrolls, Fallout, or KCD, you'll probably be disappointed. A lot of things you'd come to expect from that sort of game, from big stuff like skill variety and side effects to little things like crime, NPC schedules, and environmental activity are missing. Yeah, that's what people were saying. Like, the NPCs don't really move around. You can't destroy stuff. You can't kill NPCs. Excuse me, I'm so sorry about that. Have played 5 hours and I'm loving the game. Combat is great, magic is fun, melee is meaty, can mix and match. Soundtrack is good. Excuse me. Graphics are gorgeous, good art design, but see that's all subjective. Like I didn't like the way it looked. 1.8 hours, so this guy didn't make it past the 2 hour limit, which is unfortunate. Like I think Steam should extend their gameplay test to like 4 hours, right? Or they should do it like this, like, well, I guess you can't really make a percentage because they don't know how long each game is, but I don't know. I think that a game you still should like put in, I don't know. There should be like a 4 hour limit to like games that are expected to be long, you know? Because 2 hours really isn't enough, especially if you're like farting around doing the tutorial for the first hour or two, which is what a lot of games do now. You know, you're just kind of learning the game. You're not really like gauging too much about it. Like, I mean, yeah, sure, you can see like the graphics and performance, and you can kind of see a little bit of that stuff, but you really don't like Starfield, right? That's a perfect example. Even though I think Starfield started off kind of sluggish and boring. But like Starfield, you really didn't come to realize that you hate the game until like you're 12 hours in, right? And you start telling yourself like, why am I playing this game? Like this game's so boring and uninteresting, right? Now I know some people are going to get on me for that, but that's what a lot of people's reactions were. So they didn't refund the game, right? Because it took like, because it was like one of those games where you had such high expectations that you just couldn't believe that the thing was just as boring as it was, right? So a lot of us just were like, okay, we're going to go to the next area and see if like something happens, or we're going to go into this cave and see if like this is going to be an awesome like dungeon or whatever, a place to fight and all that. And like each time you did that, you're like going, okay, nothing happened. This isn't exciting. This is kind of boring. Let me check out the next area because there's got to be something that's finally going to be like, wow, Starfield is great. And that never came for a lot of people. It was just a kind of bland, boring game. It's just, you could say it's something to play, but it wasn't like anything that was worth the price of admission. Here, ignore the woke and pronouns crap. I'm not into that BS either as long as it's not forced, which it is. If you're a fan of Obsidian, Skyrim, RPGs in general, you'll probably enjoy this. Looks pretty good. Plays well. Combat feels nice. It's impactful. Flows well. Some stealth elements. Good voice acting. I'll update this when I play more. So he didn't even put in the 2 hours yet. This guy gave it a review after one and a half hours. It's okay. The world is gorgeous. The combat is fine, but that's really it. World is gorgeous. Combat is fine. Okay. That's kind of most of the game then. But the story feels bland, and the Bethesda style NPC interactions don't help. The only interesting character is only interesting because he shares the same voice with one of the most likable companions in our RPG generation, Garrus from ME. So take that how you will. I want to give it the weakest thumbs up, but $90 is very overpriced for what I experienced so far, and I strongly encourage to refund if you feel on the border. My impatient but can't resist games I'm remotely excited for. So this kind of practice works for me. So in other words, he's saying he can't wait till they come out, or he can't wait to look at reviews and videos and all that stuff. So he's going to pay the $90 early access. So that's what he's trying to say here. Um, but he said that also requires the game to be a $90 experience. So he's saying this game's not worth 90 bucks. This guy put in 4, not a mind-blowing game, but enjoyable. It's very classic Obsidian. So if you liked Outer Worlds, you might like this one. Now this guy says the writing is pretty good, and the gameplay doesn't take risks but works well. Engine feels a bit outdated but doesn't break immersion. Character creation gives you some freedom, but there's something missing about godlike traits, color options for instance. See, I didn't think the characters looked good, in my opinion, right? So I don't know. This guy's 4 hours in. He's already hooked. Game is bug free, he says. Combat is buttery smooth, and the crafting upgrade is cool. The attribute and skill point system is easy to understand, but has a lot of room for player creativity, which is massive. Addicted to this game day one. Well, at least he put in almost 4 hours before he left the review. This guy played an hour. He refunded it. The base combat was enough to tell me I'm going to barely ever touch this. I'm coming from Dying Light 2. I wasn't sure how to quite put why I didn't like the combat here. Melee feels a bit janky with stiff animations. I played around with 3 weapons and I thought all of them felt very poor compared to other first-person Melee games. I'd say this game felt more like Outer Worlds mixed with Far Cry 5 in regards to combat. Okay. he's kind of really comparing a first-person game or like a shooter. Well, I guess not really. I guess Dying Light does use a lot of melee weapons. And there really isn't much guns in there, I guess, right? So, eh. But really, Dying Light is really like what you would say is a gun shooter type of a game where they just took out the guns and make you use melee weapons a lot. Like, that's just how it feels to me. So, an RPG versus a first person shooter slash melee, I don't know if that's going to translate exactly well, but I mean, you can compare the two, but I see what he's saying. This guy said it wouldn't launch for him, so I don't know. He probably didn't have a high enough PC. Um, this guy played for almost 2 hours. He refunded it. I by no means have a powerful PC, but the fact that I can't run this game on all low with DLSS on performance and get a consistent 60 is sad. I can run Kingdom Come 2 on Ultra without DLSS at 60 to 70 with dips in the 40s and the game looks 10 times better. But he didn't put his specs in here. So I don't know. He didn't put his gaming specs. But I mean, I guess if he can run Kingdom Come Deliverance with 60 to 70, with everything on Ultra, which I'm assuming is 1080p. Yeah, that's not good. He's not talking about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I guess. Oh, yeah, he did run Kingdom Come 2, but he pirated it apparently. So that's kind of funny that he's admitting he pirated Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I don't know what these people think, admitting that in public. But anyway, sorry for the sniffles. The weather's changing and my sinuses are going crazy. So, this one says good vibes, but not quite enjoy being forced to play as a deformed mushroom head with gameplay that doesn't quite feel as right as I could. So, he doesn't like the gameplay too much. This guy played almost 2 hours. I rarely write reviews, but this game is trash. It's bare bones. You have a map, you fight the same enemies, and they don't respawn. So, when you are traveling, it's just an empty world. Every game these devs made have been crap. So, he's kind of, doesn't really like the Obsidian games, I guess. This guy's 2 hours in. He says he's having a blast. 5 hours in almost. Um, I don't usually pre-order, but as Obsidian is a company I still trust, as I have loved all their games and they delivered with Avowed. Consider me a fan. Okay. This guy's 2 hours in. Um, Bought the game after seeing trailers and thought it looked like the new Skyrim. So far, it kind of is. I doubt it. Skyrim is really open world, right? But then he says, well, if Dying Light and Skyrim had a baby, I don't know about that. But we'll. The combat is good. I have two loadouts I can switch between. Voice acting is great. Did I mention Garrus? Even the other random NPCs so far are good. The art style, while it may seem dated in some places, looking at you faces is bright and look amazing in Ultra. I personally would prefer it darker and grittier, but still enjoy this colorful stuff. See, I don't enjoy the super colorful stuff. I mean, again, I like color, but I don't want, when you're in an RPG, I don't know, just especially when you're in an RPG there's a dark shadow over the world, right? Because that's usually how RPGs are. There's never a happy story. You know what I'm saying? There's always a dark force. So most of the game to me should be kind of like a dreary kind of a look to it. And then every so often you'll come to like a colorful, um, you know, happy or bright area, but not like the whole game, you know. This guy's 1 hour. He said, eh. So I mean, it looks like that there's more positives than negatives, which is quite surprisingly, but you'll have to read through them, right? Like if somebody gives it a positive and doesn't really give me enough to convince me it's a positive, then that's just crap. You know what I'm saying? Like this guy says absolutely peak, no details. Great game, I really enjoy it, but why? He didn't even play an hour. This is 2.5 hours. To me, it's not long enough to write a review. This guy's 5 hours, so I guess kind of a review. Uh, okay, so this guy with capital letters, very annoying. The game is a lot of fun so far, and he doesn't even like spell check or anything. Really like the lore and world building. I think that they should make a traditional. Okay, this guy has to be doing this on purpose. RPG in this setting, it would be really good. I PC'd human, not elf, by the way. Well, he can at least do acronyms. Good grief. um, yeah, that guy's probably drunk. Anyway, um, great storytelling and your choices matter. Combat is a classic, but ramped up. The game is also incredibly beautiful. So 3.3 hours is not enough not enough to. How can you determine it's a great storytelling at 3.3 hours? And that your choices matter. How would you know that after only 3.3 hours? You know, I can understand a negative review like in a couple hours because if the first like if you can tell that you probably won't like a game in the first couple hours, but you can't really say that a game is great or the storytelling is good or your choices matter when in only a couple hours because you have to see how it all plays out, right? So so this one here, you know, I can understand somebody playing it for 2 hours and saying I'm just not feeling it. Like the characters don't rub on me good. The combat, I don't really like it too much. I don't like the way the world looks. The combat, you know, you can kind of feel that like in the beginning, you know. So this guy says, yeah, I guess most of the positives are either bought or haven't played a good game in a while. If you expect a game which is like Elder Scrolls, you'll be just as disappointed as I am. The only thing I liked in my short playtime was the mage gameplay. Everything else is just bad and feels like you're playing a 90s to early 2000s game. So he wasn't feeling it, you know. 4.3, yes, so far good and super happy with what I'm playing. I'm seeing the replayability already, and it's going to take a while to really figure out all the nuances of this game, but so far so good. We'll update later. Replayability? I'm a little confused about that one. What does he mean by that? You mean starting a new character? Because somebody already said there's no respawns in the game. So, hmm. So anyway, it looks like there's a lot of like positive reviews. I personally am not ready to jump on this yet. Um, this guy after 3 hours says boring. So, you know, 3 hours is a pretty good amount of time to figure out whether you're going to kind of want to continue or not, right? So that's legitimate. This guy is 1.6 hours. It's all right. Wouldn't pay the full premium when you get Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 Gold Edition for less. It's not bad, but it's not amazing. Okay, so see, here's a review, right? We're going to read it. Maybe it's junk, right? But if you're going to give me a positive review, at least say, well, I haven't gotten too far yet. I only played like 3 or 4 hours, but I'm liking it so far. Like, that's okay, fine. If that's all you want to write, good. It would be nice to hear more, but that's fine. Maybe they can update it when they get further in. But when people just leave a review and say, oh, this is great, and that's all they write, it's like, that's not helpful. So here's a negative. He's not even 2 hours in. He's like an hour, 1.6. He already got clowns, because obviously. So this guy says it's all right, wouldn't pay the full premium price when you can get another game gold edition for less. It's not bad, but it's not amazing. So here's the good. The graphics. I was skeptical at first, but it's not as cartoonish as the trailers show. Okay, see, that's information that is helpful. So I was looking at the gameplay too of some people and all that, and I was like, I ain't feeling this colorful stuff. Okay, so now that he's saying it doesn't look as cartoonish when you're actually playing it yourself. That's very helpful, right? I'm not really biased. I'm just can only go by what I see. But that doesn't mean I'm still gonna like it. He says he's okay with it, or at least he's saying it's not as cartoonish. So it's still cartoonish. The combat is good if you're a casual, laid-back player. Don't expect Witcher or Kingdom Come Deliverance tier combat. He said, honestly, it feels like the clicking simulator to me with Magic, which requires 2 clicks instead of mouse 1 for a sword or wand. This is also a huge negative depending on the player. The voice acting was great. The world is beautiful and vibrant, colorful and dark. Okay, that's cool. So for me personally, I'm just going to give my 2 cents here. This wasn't enough for me, but it was more than some other reviews, so that's at least cool. Um, but let's see what the bad is. So now he's kind of saying the combat to me sucks. Okay, so kind of, well, he did say it was kind of bad, but he said the combat is good if you're a casual player. So he's kind of contradicting himself a bit here, but let's just see what he says. So maybe he's just kind of thinking more about it. To me, the combat sucks. It's a mashing simulator 101. Zero complexity, and it gives looter shooter vibes, but if you include swords. Okay, so that's what I was saying earlier about Dying Light. That's exactly what I said. The wands and the guns are one of the same. The decision have zero real impact except for a few of them that can change the way your story plays out. It's not the deep what you choose. It's not that deep what you choose. The world doesn't react to bad decisions. You can be an absolute evil douchebag and nobody will bat an eye at you for it. Everyone wants to be your friend for some reason. There's zero build up with the people you meet. There's automatically your friend after 2 sentence conversation. See, that matters to me, what he just said there. Like there's no build up to the people you meet. Because, I, to me, it's a big deal in a game for you to get kind of like character attachment, right? So, um, just kind of like meeting somebody and all of a sudden it's like you've known each other for years. It doesn't really do anything to me. You know what I'm saying? Um, at least when you're doing that with every character. Like it's fine if somebody said like, you started the game like, I don't know, in a shipwreck or a war or I don't know, someplace where you did know other people before, but you didn't really see them at the beginning of the game, but they were part of your adventure or your experience of ending up where you started the game. So that's fine if you like meet somebody later, like a captain, right? And the captain, there was a battle out, like let's say there was a battle out in the water, you're on a ship and you get thrown overboard and you like the captain lost you and you're washed up on shore and now, you know, later on you meet the captain. He goes, "Oh my God, you survived." Like that's fine. But if you're gonna I want to be have emotions when I meet characters. I want to have emotions when I lose characters. I want to have emotions when characters like don't want to be my friend anymore, right? Um, that kind of thing. I don't want it to just be just like la di da di da, like anyway. So this guy's kind of like all over the place. He says ultimately the game is okay, but it takes zero risk and has zero innovation. The magic is the coolest part, and that's because it has runes. The graphics are beautiful, and I love it. Is it worth the full price? No. Wait for a sale. If a game lacks any of this within the first 2 hours, as it has with me, then I doubt it's ever going to get any better. It will be on sale probably within the next month. Director, I love you, but like Outer Worlds, this game has taken zero risk and has added nothing to an oversaturated formula from Obsidian. So that's where I'm going to end. This guy says a bit woke on character design, but it's optional. You can turn off the appearance. Oh, okay, I see. It's probably got scars or something stupid. The game itself is actually good, interesting story, combat mechanic. Yeah, well, that's obviously subjective. But it seems like a lot of people are liking it, leaving positive reviews. I don't know if these guys are YouTubers. Because you can easily get a couple thousand positive reviews right away, right? From just YouTubers, because there's thousands of them out there. And they probably all got review copies. You know what I'm saying? Um, but these guys, and there's probably a couple thousand people out there who are FOMO addicts, right? They they have to get the newest game that's out, no matter whether it's good or bad. Doesn't matter, right? So, you know, or people were just desperate for something, anything that was not, Concord, or that wasn't, um, what's the other one that came out? I got a mental block. Dragon's Age, right? Because that really wasn't taken too well. Um, this one's probably more in depth than Dragon Age was. You know, there's probably more meat to it, than Dragon Age. So that's probably why, people figured this one was going to be a little more advanced and interesting than Dragon Age. So, they're willing to take anything at this point, which is kind of unfortunate, you know. Anyway, that's Avowed for you. Me personally, I'm going to wait to see more videos. I'm going to wait to read more reviews after a lot more reviews come in. Because right now there's only 199 reviews. And that's not a lot. And it's 79% positive, which is not good, right? When you're talking about only 199 reviews, right? That's 20% negative. So that's not great, when it's a brand new game. Um, because you figured round that up to 200, you know, that's 40 reviews out of 200 are negative. That's not good. So if you go to like 2,000 reviews, then you're talking 400. And then if you go to 20,000 reviews, then you're talking about 4,000 negative reviews. I mean, that's a lot, you know? And this thing will never get up to 200,000. But if it does get up to 200,000, that's 40,000 negative reviews. That's not good. If you have 200,000 reviews, you don't want more than 10,000 negative reviews, right? So you probably don't want 5%, only maybe 5% negative. Because you're always going to have negative, right? There's rarely a game that comes out that uh, isn't have negative, and then of course it says LGBTQ plus. Like there's no reason to put that on here, right? That's just a turnoff for a lot of people. But anyway, and I got nothing against gay people or transsexuals or anything like that. I don't have anything against them. The left says that I have something against them, but they don't think for me. I think for myself. Okay? Um, I love everyone. Like I have no hatred towards anyone. It seems like the left has hatred towards me for no reason at all, except for I like freedom and I like freedom of speech and I don't like censorship and I like to make characters the way that I want to make them. That's why they hate me. Because I don't want to be oppressed by my government or by corporate, corpos, right? Yeah, the left, they're for the people, right? I don't think so. All right, anyway, let's move on now to, I'm not sure which to do first here. Um, Let me go to the Radeon stuff here. Okay, so we've been hearing rumors that the 9070 XT is coming out in a few weeks. Okay, maybe 4 weeks or so, I guess. So, in about a month, maybe a little before. So there was some leaks online about whatever the prices of it. So, at least from Canadian prices, it looks like the 9070 is going to be about 600 and the 9070 XT is going to be about 700, right? Give or take in American dollars. So that seems a little too high to me, but I'll talk about what I think about the pricing later. So let me move myself over a little bit here, or maybe I'll put myself up here. So we can see here that we have a 7800 XT and the projected 9070 XT, and this is Tech Power Up. You can just go online and look these up. They make all this public for us, um, which is nice. Thank you, Tech Power Up. Um, so you can see here that I'm comparing the 7800 XT with the 9070 XT, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But right now, the 7800 XT has 3,840 cores, and the 9070 XT has 4,096. So it's got well, not like 200 more, little over, like 250 more, just to be rough. The TMUs, the 9070's got like 16 more. The ROPs are the same, the memory size is the same, and the GDDR and the bus width are the same. So really the TMUs and the cores are what's changing here. The 9070 will get a little bit more there. So not really all that different. Um, so you could say they're very similar. And if you go down here to the to where they talk about the memory and everything. Oh, what happened? Oh, where did it go? Oh, here it is. Okay, so they got it in a different spot. All right, so the 9070 is on the right and the 7800 XT is on the left. So here's what the first thing that I look at here. Um, Wait, this is weird. Okay, I got you. Okay, so the memory bandwidth, yeah. So the memory bandwidth is going to be exactly the same, 624.1. So that's the first thing I look at when I look at video cards. I look at the memory bandwidth, right? So, because that does play a part in things. So you could say these cards are on par with each other when it comes to the memory bandwidth. So what really is the big difference here? Well, it looks like the clock speeds of the memory, okay? So again, these are not next to each other. So here, you can see the base clock for the 7800 XT. Well, forget about the base clock. The boost clock is 2430 for the 7800 XT, and the boost clock for the 9070 XT is 2970. So that's almost 500 megahertz more, okay? So that's going to help the speed, right, the performance of the card versus the 7800 XT. So you got 500 megahertz more, which is significant. So if we go down here to the theoretical performance, again, this is just their take, right? So you could see here that the pixel rate is 233 on the 7800 and it's 285 on the 9070. So that's a little bit of a boost there. And then you could say the texture fill rate is 583 on the 7800 and 760 on the 9070. So that's quite a bit more, right? That's like almost 200 more. The teraflops, which is weird here, because the F16 on the 7800 XT is 74 teraflops, and the F16 is only 48 on the 9070. So I don't think these numbers are right. They probably won't know these numbers until the card comes out, because the 9070 is less on all of this. So I'm not exactly sure why they're making this lower. But anyway, so if you go to the render config, it's saying the 9070 has 64 compute units, whereas the 78 only had 60. The 9070 has 64 RT cores, the 78 has 60. So, yeah, there really isn't a whole lot different here. The wattage of the 9070 is slightly lower than the 7800. Yeah, so I was really surprised to see this. So they were comparing. So AMD was comparing. Um, well, somebody was comparing the 9070 to the 7900 XTX in some slides that I saw, and it wasn't quite as fast as the 7900 XTX. But I don't see how the 9070 XT can be as fast as the 7900 XTX when the specs are nearly identical to a 7800 XT. So at most, I would expect it to perform like a 7900 GRE, maybe. So how can they sell a 9070 XT for $700 if it performs maybe even a little better than a 7900 GRE, or maybe even as good as a a 7900 XT? So if it performs like a 7900 XT, I still think $700 is too much money. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that if it performs like a 7900 XT, then I think that it should be no more than 550. And I think that's even too much, you know, in my opinion. Really think it should be no more than $500. Because to me, if the 9070 performs like a 7900 XT and they try to sell it for 600, even if it's faster than a 5070 in raster, I don't think that people are going to buy it. I wouldn't buy it. That's just my opinion. I don't think the 9070 XT can be more than $550 if it performs as good as the 7900 XT. If it does perform like a 7900 XTX, then I think they can get away with selling it for 600. Or maybe 700, but I still think 700 is too much. Even with the 7900 XTX performance. That's just my opinion. But again, I don't see how it's going to perform faster than a 7900 XT if it's got nearly identical specs as a 7800 XT. I just don't see how that's going to be possible. Even with the higher clocks and a little bit more, cores, I don't see how that's going to translate into jumping from a 7800 XT to a 7900 XT performance. I mean, that's quite a leap. I mean, but again, it could perform like a 7900 XT, and if that's the case, then I wouldn't sell it for more than 500 or 550 bucks. Like that's what they'll have to set it at to really be able to fly off the shelves. That's just my opinion, right? So that's all I'm going to do there. So let me bring this over here. And I will talk about another 9070 leak in a second. So the 5070 here is going to be coming out on February 20th. So if you didn't know that, it will. So if we look at the performance of the 5070, right? Right here. So it's a 5070, so I'm going to slide this up so you won't be able to see that anymore. So they're comparing it to a 4070, okay, over here. So the 5070 Ti is coming out February 20th, sorry. So if you look at the graph here, which is kind of annoying moving around here, Resident Evil 4, and let's see here, 1440p this is, okay? Max settings. And just says DLSS super resolution, but it doesn't say whether that's performance or quality. So that's kind of messed up. They're leaving out details. But anyway, let's just look at this one here. So this one is Resident Evil 4 with RT on, max settings. No DLSS, right? And it's kind of messed up they don't have a percentage here because it's kind of hard to tell. But if you want to go, this is 100%. This is like 1/5, maybe. So it's only 10 to 15, it's like 15% faster than the 4070 Ti. So it's not a whole lot. Horizon Forbidden West with DLSS, which is regular DLSS. So I'm assuming they're doing 1440p performance. So again, it's about 20% faster. And then all these here with DLSS 4, well, it's kind of like useless information. I do agree. Like they should have at least said, I don't know, previous DLSS regular. Like even if they did DLSS 1440p for performance and showed that, and then showed DLSS 4 frame gen with performance, then at least you could see like the difference between regular DLSS performance versus DLSS 4 performance, right? With multi-frame. Like that would have been at least better. So it looks like with regular gaming RT, it's 15%, and regular gaming with DLSS, I'm assuming performance, it's 20% at 1440. So, yeah. Now it does say frame gen is on the 40 series as well. So maybe DLSS 4, maybe this is with the regular frame gen here, and this is with multi-frame gen. But it still doesn't tell us anything because we don't know what the raster performance is, right? We don't know what the regular. So to be safe, I would say the 5070 Ti is going to be probably 15% faster than a 4070 Ti, I guess, right? So that's my suspicion, right? That would be my guess. And um, where is it? So it's going to be $790 $49. So if it's 15% faster, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's worth 750. It would have been nice if it was like 20% faster, but we'll have to see what the reviews say. If it's 20% faster at 750, then I would say that's okay. 15%'s okay too, but that's just not as impressive, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Yep. Um, Last but not least, there was another leak apparently, and go visit WCCF Tech. Okay, they have a website. Go check them out. WCCF Tech. Um, so here they're saying that there was a leak showing the Radeon RX 97 XT showing 4,096 cores on Navi 48, and it says up to 3.1 gigahertz clock and over 200 frames per second in Monster Hunter Wild. So that's the first red flag here. That it's saying that it's getting 200 frames per second in Monster Hunter Wild. Now everybody knows that it was like really hard to run that game at high FPS, right? So I can't get this to go bigger, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay, so maybe we can make this bigger. Let's see. But that's not really going to show it. Yeah, it's very blurry. You can't really see it. So what does it say here? I can't even see it. It's not really a good high resolution picture. I don't know why they did that. Um, uh, anyway, yeah, so it's not really very clear. Maybe they're going to have it down here. Yeah, so you can see here it's showing 644 gigabits per second, which was a little higher than the expectation. It was boosting to 3100 megahertz. Again, we don't know if this is like overclocked. So if we go on X, okay, here it is. Now see, this is the problem with the media. He says RX 9070 XT, like he's showing a question here. Okay, he's not even saying it is an RX 9070 XT. So here's a little better picture, and go to this guy, HK at HKEPC Media, okay, on X. So here it's showing uh, 640 gigabits per second, 3100 megahertz. It just says Navi 48. That's it. We don't know what that is. That could be maybe a 9080, right? That they might bring out later. Because I heard people saying something about that. Um, you can see it's using AMD drivers. Yeah, so I mean, it's got a nice boost, so that could definitely help performance. But this ain't 211. You know what I mean? And it's getting 211 using a Core Ultra 9 285. So all the people out there that are going, oh, you got to use the 9800X3D to get the best performance at 1080p. Well, I mean, this has got to be using some kind of frame generation or something. That can't be raw. Unless it's just one of those games. You know what I'm saying? Where, I don't know. Somebody here posted their results using a 7900 XTX with a 5800 X3D, and they only got 112. You know? So that's why it's like, this is Sammy Beljo. Now, here's another guy, Ray. Now he's got a 9800 X3D with a 7900 XTX at 1440p, and he's showing 204 frames per second. But the one thing that you can see here that doesn't make any sense, this one got a score of 38,429 and it only has 112 FPS. 38,000, right? This one has a lower score of 34,664. And it's got more FPS, so I don't know what that score means. It doesn't make any sense, in my opinion. So, yeah. So this guy has a 5080, and his bandwidth is 1,152. And this has a boost of 3,200 megahertz. So, I mean, this is the problem, right? And this has GDDR7, which gives it the bandwidth. But 1,000 G texels, 358 G pixels. I'm not sure how that translates to AMD, but so, you know, this guy is, his name is Slack Cavill I999, so you can go ahead and check him out on X. Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of posts already on here that are like kind of making this very questionable, right? So I don't know. I just don't see how this. Now, a Core Ultra might perform better than a 9800 X3D. That's possible, you know. Now this one at, I don't know. So you decide on what you want to believe. It's like, you know, I I just don't think. I don't. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think that this is a 9070 XT. That's just my opinion. Maybe it's a higher, like I said, a 9080 if they're going to bring one out. Maybe they're testing it. But it does say 644 gigabits per second, which would come in line with the 9070, but you could still have 644 gigabits per second in a 9080 if you still only have 16 gigabytes of VRAM, right? Because that's where the bandwidth is coming from, right? But who knows? Like I said, this does look like it's in line with the 9070 though. But the score of the game just is weird. I don't understand that. But anyway, yeah. So that's pretty much it. I don't think I have anything else to talk about. I don't know what my uh, yeah, I think that was it pretty much. So anyway, guys, take care. Um, peace.